Hey, this is Kimati Innes, otherwise known as Ki Innes of Ki Creative Studio in Master Drawing, Japan. Um, okay, so I'm continuing my third in a series about drawing the scapula and the shoulder and the shoulder blade, and I went ahead and I did three drawings of some animation characters, two from Disney, one from DreamWorks, and I made the really stupid mistake of not turning on the camera. So I'm really sorry. I wanted to demonstrate myself like drawing these characters. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over the scapular anatomy for these characters, and then what I'll just simply do, I'll just draw it over again. So I'm sorry about that, but hey, show still goes on. Okay, so here is my take uh, on Glenn Keane's Tarzan. This is from a model sheet from Tarzan, which was animated by Glenn Keane. And one of the things I heard over and over again about the design of this character was that the character is basically he's basically naked actually. So the uh, the anatomy, his skin, his musculature is the costume. So they really had to design the muscular in such a way, so that that it would read read clearly, and it would be easy to animate. So, but the musculature had to be believable. It still had to be believable. What I'm doing here, I don't know I don't know if this is showing up or not, but I thought I would go over the musculature of the deltoid and like show how that connects into the scapula in the back here. When they designed Tarzan, basically the scapula was just basically, it was just designed as a downward check mark, or this abbreviated triangle. They did not spend a lot of time in terms of like showing all like the muscles and things like that. And it's not that important, but just having the scapula back there, just showing that it does give this image of strength and power to it. Now this one is also another one that is was done by Glenn Keane, and this is the prince from Beauty and the Beast, like after he had transformed, and yeah, his back is turned, like you see him his human self for the first time, and yeah, I mean, uh, that design of the scapula in the back, gives a sense of of a human, kind of strength to it. You this is a character from the Road to El Dorado that I did. Who also had the upper part of her body a little bit exposed. But like I said, the scapula, when it's applied to men, it can make men look powerful and strong. When it's applied to women, it can make women look um, uh, quite elegant, or sensual for that matter. As you can notice here, like and here, and also with the prints as well, that the musculature of the deltoid, it stretches and wraps all the way around. Sorry, from the from the front all the way like to the back corner of the scapula. So it just doesn't stop there. So it's very much connected. Uh, I don't know if that's going to show up, but I hope you guys can see a little bit into how that works. So anyway, again, I'm sorry I didn't turn the camera on, and uh, yeah, okay. So I'm just gonna jump into it, and I'm gonna start drawing again, but I'm gonna draw it over. I thought I would do something a little different this time over. Usually I speed these videos up, but this time around I'm gonna draw at regular speed ups. It's not gonna be speed ups. It's gonna be real time, and I thought it'd be good for me to just show you my process from beginning to end, and this way you could see more clearly in terms of the choice of lines that I actually use, and the kind of strokes that I use when I draw. So here's the thing: when it comes to like drawing like animation characters, you have to keep in mind that these characters are designed to be drawn over and over and over and over again. So they have to design them in such a way that they can be reproduced on model in a quick way, in a quick and efficient way. So, when even though you look at these designs, and they're very appealing, and sometimes if you're not really knowing what's going on, it might seem a little intimidating in terms of like, well, like how do I approach drawing it? But all these characters are really very uh, uh, like simplified volumes, really. Um, so if you know what to look for, it should not really be that difficult in terms of like of being able to break down the character on paper. So as you can see here, yeah, I mean, I think I'm only what maybe like a minute or 2 minutes in, and I've broken down like what the gesture is, right? And this is the most important stage in terms of your drawing. It's getting like the overall idea, not spending a lot of time on the head, or not spending a lot of time on the hips or whatever. You want to think of like the whole gesture in terms of how everything's relating to the other thing. Um, if you can see that little triangle just below the head, so that is what I've laid in for my landmark for the scapula, and that makes it clear to me in terms of like, okay, like how is her arm position. So from this angle, I know that the scapula is pushing out. So if it's pushing out, that has to mean that her arm is pushing back, and it's forcing that shoulder blade to push outwards. And like I said, and as I said before in some of the other videos, really you don't really need to spend so much time on like drawing the scapula. Even if this was like another character, you don't want it to be a distraction, right? You want it to support the drawing, right? So you notice like how I'm drawing. I'm drawing with my arm. I'm and as I'm drawing now, just like how you hold the pencil, you can hold the pencil any way you want. You can hold it the same way you should do like a pencil. Um, I hold it in this position because I want to get that nice broad sweeping line. That's going to change. That I can change values. Um, when I needed to. If you draw like just like the pencil point, you're basically only getting like one value in terms of like your line weight. Um, so not to say that I don't draw like with the point. Actually, as I go along, you'll see, and I will switch it up, and I will draw with the point for specific things. Those specific things are like very small details, like like the eyes and like the nostrils and things like that. Where I definitely I'm gonna need a a finer point, to get that detail in there. So, um, so the drawing here, it's coming together. I'm only like a few minutes in, and that's basically the drawing right there. Everything that we need to know is here already. We know that we have this character, female. She has uh, her weight on one foot more than the other, and she is turning and twisting back towards us, right? And we're looking up a little bit up, at her, in terms of like where our eye is in relation to her, we're not eye level, we're below her eye level right now, actually. That's another thing, guys, in terms of drawing. It's something that some people get a little confused about, or they forget to pay attention to. Is like where is where is your eye level and in relationship to the figure that you're drawing. Are you below the figure's eye level? Are you above the figure's eye level? Are you the same level? Because those things are going to have a direct impact in terms of um, in terms of perspective, in terms of you know, breaking down the proper perspective um, of the character as you're drawing it. Some people, who are not really paying attention to it, and they'll they'll draw like part of the body from an upper position, and then they'll draw like other parts like as if like we were looking at it head on, and that's when it starts to fall apart. So um, things like that, you don't have to dwell on these things. Things like you know perspective, anatomy. You don't have to you know, dwell on these things too much, right? Because that's not what the drawing is all about. The perspective and the anatomy, these things are just tools to help you tell the story. All right. So it's supposed to support what you're doing. So don't make your drawings about like the anatomy or the perspective, because it's gonna take away from the point of interest which you want to be, which is the gesture, which is basically the story that you're trying to tell. Now, for the face, for a little while ago, I think I was putting in the eyes and the mouth and things like that, and I needed to use that fine point, so I did switch it up a little bit. Like yeah, okay, okay. No, I was confident enough, because I just put in just put in a little mark for the eyebrow, so that's not a big deal. So that I can hold it in this position and draw from that position. But this nice sweep, that I'm getting here, that's the only way I'm gonna get that this kind of line is, like I said, if I'm drawing with my arm, and and in terms of that line weight that's down there, it's gonna work a lot better if I hold it in this position, as opposed to like holding it in a straight down like pen position, or pencil, like a writing style position. So, just a quick little background on myself. I teach figure drawing, and here in I'm sorry, I'm in Tokyo, Japan, and I teach figure drawing, and I also I hold seminars on animation and design for animation out here in Tokyo. Um, Most of the time, I invite people to come to Japan to do seminars and to do master classes. But in the meantime, at least like in between those seminars and master classes, I teach figure drawing classes every week here in Tokyo. So yeah, that came to mind because I was thinking about my students and people who come to me and say, they want to learn how to draw. And I can't tell you how many times where I've met people, um, both um, Japanese and American, who they came to me and said, yeah, I want to learn how to draw, and then I show them like I show them how to draw, like holding the pencil this way, and like the first thing they say is like, I don't want to hold the pencil like that. And my first, I don't say it to them, but but in my mind, my first reaction is like, well, you said you want to learn how to draw, right? So um, so my point is that if you really want to learn how to draw, it, it's more than just like learning like how to like copy something, or just replicate something. You know, drawing is learning how to see, and uh, drawing is going to require you to think a little bit differently, about things. Um, in terms of like the marks you're putting on the paper, what I'm putting on this paper are volumes. I'm not writing characters here. I'm not writing like A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, or Japanese A, I, U, E, O. Um, we're not. That those things are like little pictograms, right? So that requires us like to really like to reproduce like a iconic symbol in a very specific way. So when we hold the pencil, or the pen, we hold it with a tight grip, with our fingers very very close to the edge, and we don't write with our arm. It's usually, yeah, it's at the wrist, really, so at the wrist, or at the fingers for that matter. But when it comes to drawing, it's almost like sculpting in a way, because we are working with volumes. If you've ever like listened to a podcast, particularly, or an interview with someone like a Glenn Keane, when they talk about drawing, they talk about like drawing almost like being like a sculptural kind of process, and that's the way it should be when you draw. You're not drawing. Yeah, again, you're not writing. You're creating the illusion of three-dimensional images that are inside the paper, or inside the space of or the imaginary space of the paper. So in order to do that, we have to like train our minds to see things in such a way that we're going over the volumes, right? We're going over the volumes. If we draw something, we have to imagine that things can wrap around it, right? Or things, are falling off of it, and then there's a sense of gravity, and weight, and that's going to impact, these volumes in terms of things contracting, things compressing, um, or things expanding. So okay. So for all my talking here, I've pretty much I've finished the drawing here, right? And okay, so I've drawn this whole figure, and my my main point is that this whole drawing is about this girl. It's about this girl who's been surprised, and she's stopping, and she's saying, "What?" Okay, and she's young. She's obviously she's capable. She looks a little bit athletic, possibly, you know. So, what are the things that we do to support that? I draw her, with young, soft looking flesh and skin. Um, so I didn't put too much details in terms of like age and things like that. She's um, tried the female, so I didn't put too much detail in terms of the musculature, but I put just enough there, just to show that she is capable. For example, the sinew of behind the knee, shows that there's probably a lot of strength in the sinew of that leg, um, and the scapula pushing out like that, also gives like a sense of strength. But again, I did not put too much detail in there because I want to keep her looking attractive, right? So I just kept it a very, very, very simple volume. So if this makes sense, um, like no one part of your drawing, should like draw so much attention away from your audience that like that's what becomes like the center of attention for the audience, because not now you've done something counterproductive. Everything that's on there should be supporting the whole. Um, the scapula. See, okay, I just touching rounding it off a little bit here, but the roundness of that scapula pushing out is supporting what I want to say about her. That she's young, but capable. Um, she's maybe a little bit strong or athletic, but definitely female. Um, sorry, effeminate. Excuse me. Not saying that females can't be athletic, but by meaning is when we think of effeminate, we usually tend to think soft, um, gentle, um, not too much. Uh, uh, there's not an overabundance of like physical power. Okay, put it to you like that. So yeah, okay, here you see the way I'm holding it as if I was writing right now, because I'm putting the details here for the eyes and for those other areas, and I wouldn't be able to have that same kind of control if I was holding it in the other position. Yeah. I'm putting just a little bit of shadowing here, just to fill that deltoid out. Needless to say, usually in animation, like values like that are usually not seen, or at least um, they're not placed there, at the pencil stage. So okay, all right. So that's. I'm sorry, I forget this character's name. I think her name is Chell or something like that. From the movie The Road to El Dorado. Um, I forget the animation director, who designed her, but I thought this would be a very, very good and fun example. So I tell you what, I'm gonna do one more, and it's gonna be at real time as well. And this one is also going to be an animation character. Okay. Um, but this one is going to be from it's going to be male. and it's gonna. I think it's this is the character Shen Yu from Mulan. I'm sorry, I can't remember who the animation director is, but Shen Yu is basically this Mongolian invader, who's the villain, who's the big baddie of the film. So you can see, that he's quite massive and strong. So you see the volumes that I'm putting down here are very large volumes. And because like this is for animation, this is definitely going to be designed. Okay, so the proportions are gonna look funky here, but that's for a specific reason. Because um, you know the character's design is an abstraction to convey a certain kind of of strength that's in the character. So you can see the relation of the deltoid in relation to um, the bicep and the lower arm. The deltoid. It's huge, right? It's really huge. So obviously, actually, it's larger than his actual head here, but that is done, as for a an abstraction, because it's having a psychological effect on your audience in terms of how they see it. So I think you could see like so the deltoid, or deltoid meaning, I'm sorry if you guys are not really up to speed in terms of anatomy, but his shoulder, which the shoulder muscle, which is called the deltoid, you see how that it sweeps from his front like towards his back, and then it feeds into the shoulder blade, into his scapula, right? So my point is that if you guys don't know your anatomy, or have an understanding of an anatomy, it can be quite easy just to you know draw his back as just like this round, just this round volume, right? But it doesn't work like that. Like you have like this very large um, uh, muscle mass, which is like sitting on top of his rib cage. And again, that mass is connected to, or sweeping into, um, sort of being swept into by another part. In this case, the deltoid. Okay. So in terms of, again, how I actually draw, um, every line that I do, at least almost every line that I do here, um, is um, is a sweeping is a sweeping confident line. It might look like it because I'm holding it very close to the page, that I go back and forth, but I'm not holding the pencil down and like going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth as like one line, because that is the kiss of death in terms of drawing. You don't want to draw that way unless like you're putting in like a flat value. Um, every time that I draw, every time that I lay a mark down, um, at least in terms of like lines, that's fleshing out the form. It is a completely different line. So I make a line, and then I stop, and then even though it's very close to the paper, it's picked up, and I put it back down, and I start another line. So it's not that I'm going back and forth, but it's basically that it's almost like I'm stroking it, it's almost like I'm it's like a stroke, 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 stroke. Every line should be like a stroke. Every action should be an individual uh, stroking action, and then that's how you get that sweep. Now, that being said, I do cheat every now and then. Again, like if it's like maybe the I don't know, um, some small area like where I'm putting in a value because there's no light there, or it's maybe like the black of his eyes, or maybe if I'm putting down a black or dark value for the hair. Then I might go back and forth, but that is not representing a three dimensional image. What I'm doing is I'm just laying a value just in terms of light. I like this character's design from Mulan because again I like these types of like barbarian look kinds of characters, and I thought it was a very cool design that really had the spirit of some barbarian warrior, but done like in a Disney animation kind of style. So again, say it again. I'm going to be a broken record. Even though this video is about drawing the scapula, I'm not spending that much time on the actual scapula, and I should not be spending that much time on the scapula because that's not what the. If we're talking about, like using it for drawing the figure um, uh, for fleshing out the gesture, the scapula is again it's a tool. It is not the main part of the drawing. I might put a little more detail in there um, just to flesh it out more because it is a video about the scapula, but I don't want to do it so much that it's going to be distracting to you guys. So, because of my understanding of terms of like how the muscles work, um, I'm able to maximize more of abstracting the or exaggerating parts of the anatomy on this character for effect. So if you look at again if you look at the shoulder and uh, basically if you look like at an anatomy book or something like that, you'll notice that the deltoid actually it inserts into the upper part of the of or sorry, not the upper part, the mid part of the arm. So and the muscles, they tend to well, the muscles in the shoulder, they separate and they start to layer. So if you could see like that tapering, like that tapering insertion into the middle part of the arm. Um, I get that, because of giving respect to like the actual design of how like the muscles, um, how they work, and how they insert. Um, and the interesting thing is, for people who don't know anatomy, at least they don't study it, they know like what is what is true and what's not, like what's realistic and what's not. People um, um, they just they naturally know um, is that a natural design um, of the of the musculature there. This is pretty good, but actually, I think um, I'm losing a little bit of the mass um, of his scapula. So I think in a little bit I think I'm gonna correct that in a little bit. By the way, you also might have noticed, I don't do that much erasing as I draw, and when you draw, you should not be doing that much erasing either. Um, when you draw, you really should have like your mind on like what you're doing, um, and you should be visualizing, um, you know, what what the gesture is that you're putting on the paper and what the volumes are. If you have a very clear idea, you should not be erasing that much. Um, in other words, like when I say erasing, like erasing for the sake of like trying to like um, figure out what the drawing is. What I did just now, I just made just a little bit more of an adjustment because I wanted to really um, uh, push more on how how much strength and power he has in his back. So I just expanded it a little bit more. I think I'm gonna expand it a little bit more here too. Yeah, just change. There we go. That's yeah. That's a back. And yeah, and now like the scapula that's sitting behind the shoulder muscle there. It's pushing out a little bit more. So I hope this is making sense. I hope this is clear to you guys, that when you study your anatomy, study your anatomy to use it as a tool to help support what you're drawing. Don't make it, don't make the drawing about the anatomy. Okay. Um, you know, these things, are to help you in terms of creating a greater sense of believability for your audience, and it makes it a lot more fun. Um, well, I think it makes it a lot more fun because it creates a better sense of believability. Um, okay, I'm fleshing out that deltoid a little bit more. Um, so again, don't forget, the deltoid muscle actually it feeds into the scapula. So those things are connected. So even though it's very subtle, the musculature is favoring like towards the back. It's favoring like towards where the scapula is because it's connecting into that. So you notice like the lines, they're not straight up and down. They're curving like up and back gradually, more and more as it goes more towards the back. So okay, all right. I think I'm gonna bring this to a close here. So I hope this was helpful for you guys, and because I had a lot of fun doing it. If you enjoyed it, please give me a like. Feel free to subscribe. and leave me a comment in the comment section below. And I'll be back next week with another video. Okay, thanks again, and I'll see you next time. All right, take care. Bye bye.